Good morning, everybody. Shefa Brucha v'atzluche. We are standing now a few days before Pesach, and we'll talk a little about Pesach. First of all, what is the main mitzvah of Pesach? The main mitzvah of Pesach, v'higatta lebincha bayom hahu le'emor. We have to transfer the knowledge that we've got to our children, to the next generation. V'higatta lebincha bayom hahu le'emor. That's the main basic thing of the whole Pesach, and especially of the Seder night. So then, in order to understand how to do this, the idea is very simple. It's written, Ba'arba'a banim dibra Torah. 4 sons the Torah is talking about. Echad rasha, echad tam, echad she'eno yodea shiur, ve'echad rasha. So we have 4 kinds of children sitting with us on the Seder night. And the idea here is very simple. In order to educate, to pass the message, you have to know who you're speaking to and speak with each one of them in the way that it's suitable for him. Chanoch lanar al pi darko, gam ki yaskin lo yasur mimena. If you transfer the knowledge, the message, in the right way that is suitable for the one, for example, if he's very wise, he's clever, so he's going to ask you questions, complicated questions, you have to know how to answer him, how to give him the message. From the other side is the one who doesn't know how to ask. So at ptachlo. So you will open and understand explain to him what it's all about. And then there is this the tamim, the naive. He doesn't exactly know what it's all about. Again, in his way, you're going to tell him. And the rasha, this is one of the interesting points. The rasha, a lot of people think that we're talking about an evil child, that we really have to send him away from the Seder night. This is why God did what he did for me and not to you, and if you have been there, you will not be saved. You will stay in Egypt. And the real truth is this really the point? Is this really the message that we are giving to one of our children that is sitting with us on the Seder night? It's like the Rabbi Milubavitch used to say that we have the 5th cup. We have 4 kosot, and we have another. We have 4 cups, and we have the 5th cup for the Yom Navi. So the Rabbi Milubavitch used to say the 5th cup is for the one who didn't come for the Seder night. He is not here. He is not sitting with us. This is the guy we're waiting for. But the one who is sitting with us, he's a part of the family. And if he's on the table, it means that he is interested. He is still a part of the family. So the Rabbi Zachi said that it's the way you speak. It's not how you pronounce it. It's not the way you think. It's not afatak, you tell him, tell him off. No. On the contrary, it's coming from the heart and telling your son, your child, the evil that is considered evil. Says, my dear son, you have to understand, we love you so much. And if you will go on in the way you're going, and you will not go in the good way, we will have to leave you behind when the Geulah will come, the redemption come, like it happened in Egypt. Those who didn't go with their parents, that didn't go with the right way, with the good way, didn't go in the Torah way, they stayed in Egypt. You're going to break our heart. And in this way, you're touching him. He's starting thinking, 1 minute, maybe I have to improve my things, maybe I have to do some good. And this is exactly the point. The approach, each of the sons, each of the children, in a way that is suitable for him. And also the Rasha. This is why I saw a beautiful explanation. I don't remember who said it. It says, Ba'avur zeh. This is why God did to me what it says, Ba'avur zeh. Meaning is, for me sitting here in the Seder night and explaining to all the children, to all kinds, what it's all about. This is also, especially for the Ben HaRasha, the one who is far away from the good way. And this is my task. This is my mission. To tell him the right way, to show him the right way, in the best way that is suitable for him. This is the message. This is the message of Seder night. We are talking with each one that is sitting with us on the Seder night in a way that he will understand. For example, imagine to yourself a scientist, a physician, that is going to explain to a 4-year-old kid let's say, how do you say, the quant theory, or the theory of Einstein. Of course it's not going to work. You cannot do this. You have to talk with the kid with the knowledge you've got, to transform here the little of the knowledge that he's going to get in his mind and understand. And then a little more and a little more. It depends who you're talking to. And that is our mission on the Seder night. והגעת לבנך ביום ההוא לאמור, בעבור זה אשר עשים לי בצאתי מצרים. This is why God did what he did, for me to sit here now and tell you the story of יציאת מצרים. וכל המרבה לספר ביציאת מצרים, הרי זה משובח. Another point, don't be too sophisticated. Don't start talking about complicated things. Pass the message, the simple message of what it's all about. What is the idea of יציאת מצרים? Tell the story. Why the story? Because the way of the story is the best way to pass the message, to give the idea about what you want to say. Because if you say it like you have to do this, you have to do that, and God did this, God did that, yes, you can hear it, but it's not the same. It's like Reb Nachman Breslev, he used to say in the end of when he was quite old and he saw that nobody understands his Torah, it was very complicated and very high level. So he decided to write Sefer Maasiyot, book of stories. It's just the Sefer Maasiyot look like stories for children. No. The stories are quite complicated, not going to go into it, but he is passing us the message that the best way to give the message is through a story. And we all know, for example, when we're talking about darkness plague, how do you tell your children about the darkness plague? So you tell them a story. You tell them what it's all about. And when you tell a story, it says, I'm not a storyteller. How can I tell them a story about Yetziat Mitzrayim? So talking about, for example, Makat Choshech, I have an idea that I used to do for many, many years, and it works unbelievable. You take, of course, you tell the one who is in charge that you are the Shabbos clock, you're going to make him stop for 15 minutes. I think every spot is 15 minutes. So in the middle of the Seder night, suddenly it's dark. And then you buy in a shop, you have those things that light in the dark, that shine in the dark. And you have smiling, you have all kinds of things that shine in the dark. Like you have those signs of exit in places that you have to be shining in the dark, that people will see how to get out. So the same thing, you have small things that are shining in the dark. And you take those things, and underneath, for example, let's say it's a smiley, and you put it under a direct light, so it's going to take a lot of light. So when it's going in the evening to get dark, it's going to really shine good and nice. And then behind each one of those, you put them all over the room, and you put behind a small present for the kids. It can be let's say a sweet, it can be a small game, it can be a lot of things. Anyway, when it becomes dark, you tell the children, this is exactly the plague of darkness. And in Egypt, the Jews, they saw in the darkness all the treasures of the Egyptian. And maybe you try and look around, maybe you see in the darkness, and then the kids are going around, they see those shining things all over. So they get there, and then they see that behind this shining thing there is a treasure, there is a present. First of all the kids are going to be happy, and this experience is going to go with them for the whole life. I did it with my kids, and they remember it always. And it was one of the best Seder nights we had. So this is only one idea. There are a lot of ideas to make Seder night interesting, not to just have it like an egg. Again, you have to know who you're sitting with, and for them to make you have things that are suitable for small kids, bigger kids, and of course for the adults also. And talking, for example, about telling the story of Yetziat Mitzrayim. For example, when we want to talk about the blood plague. So how do you say it? So you tell a story. How do you say a story? I tell you what's the best thing. The best thing is when you look, you see that a lot of times when a kid comes and tell you something that happened to him, even if he's not the best storyteller, everybody is listening. Why? Because he's talking about something that happened to him right now. And this is the way to transfer the message. For example, as we said, let's talk about the blood plague. So you start telling a story. See, this family, they sitting in the dining room, and in the morning, the father has to go to work. And he says, no, I'm not going to work today. Moses said, no more work. And the kids are frightened, says, Father, you have to be, the Egyptian is going to come and he's going to shout at you and he's going to hit you and he's going to hit us. Go to work. You cannot stay. We're going to be punished severely if you stay at home. So he says, don't worry, nothing is going to happen. They hide behind the tables, because they're waiting for the knock on the door, and suddenly the knock comes and they're all hiding, frightened. And the father is going to the door, opening the door, and in the door there is this Egyptian, but he looks terrible. He really looks terrible. And he's asking, I'm thirsty, bring me a glass of water, please, please, please. The father goes, brings a glass of water. The minute that this Egyptian tries to drink the water, it turns into blood. Unbelievable. This is a way to tell the story. And everybody can work his imagination to find the best way to make the Seder night a night that the kids will not forget, and also the adults. You have, for example, a few years ago, I did a set of 4 questions and with answers, and everybody got an envelope with either a question or an answer, and then opened the envelope of the question, and the one who's got the envelope of the answer opened his, and this way. And you can do it as a game. You can do everybody's going to take an envelope from a bowl or whatever, and a lot of other things. The thing is, we have a few days before Pesach, and that's the time to start doing all those things, because when we sit on Seder night and didn't prepare ourselves for nothing, then it's too late. Then you cannot do anything anymore. And we're talking about the main thing is like to tell a story. I remember years ago when we were a young couple, we used to do Seder night with my in-laws, and there was another family with us, and they were like, everybody was showing off how clever he is and all those complicated things that they put on. And I was thinking to myself, this is a Seder night, like just all those complicated things, and really I lost interest, and it took so long, and we were angry. That I never forget this. And then years later I understood that that's not the idea of the Seder night. The idea of the Seder night is to tell the story. For example, we have those 4 people, Maaseh Rabbi, I don't remember the names now, unfortunately. The tzaddikim were sitting in Bnei Brak and talking and telling the story of Yetziat Mitzrayim the whole night, till it came the time of Shema in the morning, and the Talmidim came and told them, Rabotai, Igi Zman Kriyat Shema Shel Shacharit. And this was they were so involved in the story of Egypt, our getting out of Egypt, that they forgot the time. And we're talking about Rabbi Akiva, then Rabbi Eliezer ben Azariah, and all those clever people sitting there and telling the story of Yetziat Mitzrayim. And the question is very interesting. Why are they sitting in the house of Rabbi Akiva? Rabbi Akiva was, let's say, the youngest there. And why are they not at home, sitting with their families on Yom Tov, on Seder night, sitting alone without the families, sitting with Rabbi Akiva? He was living in Bnei Brak. You see, this group of people, they used to go, this group of rabbis, they used to go to Rome and to try and cancel if there were any bad things that came from Rome, from the Caesar. They used to go there and try and make things better. And in one of those times, they went and far away, they heard the noise coming from Rome and says, wow, look, the noise that we hear from Rome, and Jerusalem is destroyed, and no noise from Jerusalem, and look, the Goyim out there enjoying their life, and we are suffering. And they were crying. And Rabbi Akiva is laughing. They were saying, why are you laughing? Is there anything to laugh about? Hear the noise of this Rome, how they have this big town and full of life that you hear from miles. You hear the noise from the town, and our town is destroyed and we cannot hear anything there. And he was laughing. If this is the way God treated those who don't do what he wants, that those sinners, imagine to yourself how he's going to treat us that we are doing what he wants. Okay, it says Rabbi Akiva nichamtanu. Okay, you comforted us, but this is still not very understandable. But then another time, says the Gemara, they were going in Jerusalem, and a fox came out of the ruins of the temple, and they were crying, "Look what's happened to our holy place, the Beis Hamikdash, the temple. Foxes are going in." And Rabbi Akiva is laughing. He says, "Why are you laughing? Are you crazy or something?" And he tells them, there is this prophecy, v'shoalim ilchubo, that foxes will walk around the ruins of the temple. And if this prophecy came true, so also the other prophecy of the Geulah, of the redemption, that the old and the young were going to sit in Jerusalem and enjoying. And so I'm laughing because I'm seeing that here, if one prophecy came true, so definitely the other prophecy is also going to come through. This is the power of Rabbi Akiva. Always seeing the bright side. Always seeing the full side of the cup. Not the empty. Not the bad side. So, times are very bad. And those rabbis want to find a place where they can do the Seder night in a proper way and enjoy it and be happy as they are going out of Egypt. Where can they do this thing? It is not easy. We all know the history of our history, when in the camps, in the Holocaust, Jews were sitting and keeping Seder night. Baruch Hashem, we are here in Eretz Israel, in Medinat Israel, and we can really be joyful when we feel this feeling, to get to the feeling that we are going out of Egypt. But think about those who were still in the diaspora, were tortured, were killed, and still keeping Pesach. Now, times are very bad. Rome is controlling Am Israel, and there are bad things happening every day. And they have to get to the level of happiness. Where is the best place to do it? Of course, in the house of Rabbi Akiva. Rabbi Akiva, he sees the light in the end of the tunnel. He sees the bright side in everything. And this is a guy, this is Rabbi Akiva, that we can sit there, and though the times are terrible and there is nothing to be joyful of, Rabbi Akiva will bring us to this level of joy and happiness, the samachta bechagecha. And this is a great lesson for all of us, especially for us today, that yes, there are problems. We have the corona, we have the enemies that are surrounding us, we have terrible things happening. But do remember, Am Israel chai, Am Israel lives forever. Am Israel went through terrible things and he's still here. And only from this point we have to understand that this is all a big miracle. So we have to be happy, especially on the Seder night. But in order to do it in a proper way, as we said before, the best thing, preparation. Prepare ourselves to make this night, the Seder night, a memorable night. Something that everybody will remember. Something that will elevate us to the level of happiness and waiting really for the Geulah to come. And Bezrat Hashem,